So, I wanted to give you guys a briefing. I'm not sure how much you guys know of the whole picture of healthcare in 2015 and where we fit as an organization and as individuals, no matter what our rank and file may be, whether we're CNA, paperwork, the clerk on the desk, or the physical therapist. But healthcare is definitely changing, and changing for the good. And one of the major emphasis in healthcare that's actually been promoted by the ACA, and the future of healthcare is a customer-driven service. Now, as you all know, the service, traditional service industry, so basically the hotel industry and maybe the food industry, which we all partake in that level of care here in the Bayview as well, has had all kinds of reviews on the internet. So we're all now, because of this internet situation, we're all part of the internet, be it Yelp, be it TripAdvisor, or be it the federal sites that basically are constantly monitoring us. About 10 to 15 years ago, anybody heard of a rugs category in this room? Okay, who has not heard of a rugs category? Okay, great. Nursing, that was Pat. Anybody back there ever heard of rugs?
Oh, I haven't. No.
You have not heard of rugs?
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it. So here we have nurses that don't know what rugs category is. So 10 years ago, we had what's called rugs category. There were about 40 different categories. And Sherry, I'm going to need you in about 3 minutes. The rugs categories basically were about 40 about 10 years ago, and now I believe they're like 68?
67.
So what rugs categories are is that the federal government does studies across the country where they would study what you and you and you and I do. They would actually follow and see which level of care each patient has. So the federal government has broken it down to 60, you said 60 something?
67.
So that means how much time does the CNA spend with a patient? How much time does a physical therapist spend with a patient? How much time does a nurse spend with a patient? So we are being monitored, registered, and regulated like never, okay? And this happens on a personal basis, and this happens as a physician, and this happens on all of us and the work that we do. So the work that we do is actually very meaningful and very regulated in this day and age. So what does that mean? That means that we have to basically up the stage. We have to basically be the best we can do. And I'm going to give you a couple of different talks. It's actually more philosophy and kind of a pep talk than anything. But the key to any organization and success story, the most successful companies in the country, which are pretty much the world in the last 100 years, all have one thing in common. And one thing in common is basically a philosophy. If you don't have philosophy of the way you operate, which Dr. Lake does and shares with us, then you're not going to be successful. And in this day and age, in St. Johns County in northern Florida, you must have a philosophy. And everybody know what our creed is, or our philosophy, or our basic operating motto is. Has anybody ever looked it up? No? Okay, so I have it here for you. And it's something that we all should read. Apparently it's part of your employee manual, and you probably guys should read it, and you should review it every year when you get reviewed as an employee, because this is part of the philosophy of what we're trying to do. And I'm going to basically give you a comparison between the philosophy that what we do here and the philosophy of other industries out there. As medicine basically merges, we have a merging between medicine, the aviation industry, and basically the hotel industry. And the aviation industry has an incredible record as far as safety. And about 12, 15 years ago, there were major studies across the country that discovered that we have a very unhealthy and unsafe medical system. We make mistakes. We make mistakes all the time. Mistakes are lethal. People are dying in the hospitals from here to California and forth because of easy mistakes that staff in healthcare facilities make. So that has prompted the electronic record revolution, which theoretically, if we do electronic records, we're going to make less mistakes. What does that mean? The computers are going to control what dose you give and what dose you administer. Even with that system, you can have flaws. But the general idea is that we have continuous quality improvement no matter what we do. So how do we continue to grow, and how do we continue to become better at whatever we do? Be it cleaning the floors, be it doing economics for the building, be it administering medications to a patient. So in medicine, basically in nursing and as a physician, we basically are considered to be practicing our profession. And what practicing the profession really means is that you're constantly learning from mistakes. So one of the things that we all need to basically integrate into ourselves is how can we do our job better? What hurdles are there for us doing our job? Is it a obnoxious supervisor? Is it somebody that's not giving them the tools that we need to basically do our job well? If I'm cleaning, do I have enough equipment? Do I have enough paperwork? Can I provide what my patients need? So what I'm trying to do this afternoon is give you a big picture of where we stand. So there are multiple websites. And Sherry, where's Sherry?
Okay.
Have you guys ever been to websites where you actually see how we rate compared to others?
CMS.
You guys have?
CMS.gov.
CMS.gov. Anybody else in the room been to those websites? I see. Who has not ever been to a website of our ratings? Okay, so a couple folks, actually a lot of folks there. Do you guys know the questions that they ask in our ratings? They ask meeting. So this is a facility. Basically, I'm going to get there's 26 questions. I'll give you the top 3 or 4. And a lot of these were actually basically borrowed from CMS.gov, where mostly, and that's a star rating that we're constantly being rated to see how we're ranking compared to our competitors.
Do you want to know what they rated on?
How do go ahead.
The categories that they rated on are staffing levels, ADL levels, and survey results. So those are the 3 main categories.
So I have a copy here of our satisfaction survey summary. So aside from that CMS.gov database that's shared nationally and reviewed by every national, state, and local agency, as well as our patients, the whole idea is to be customer driven so the customer can go on the website and see how we perform. Do I want my mom there? Do I want myself there? Where am I going after my knee? So one of the things that upped the ante in our market in our area is basically Flyer Hospital. Flyer Hospital has catapulted itself into one of the top hospitals in the country. So a lot of you born and raised here never imagined that. A lot of folks 20 years ago would drive all the way to Jacksonville or Tallahassee to get their health care. Well, guess what? Because the ante has been upped by the standards set by Flyer Hospital, we, as a reflection of the community, have to also up our ante in everything we do. So the challenge is there to be, like the Army says, be all that you can be, or be the best that you can be. So this healthcare survey is produced on every single group in the house. And I will say that physical therapy has basically an A+. So they're definitely an incredible group, and we have to basically aspire to be like them. Well, what do we do in the meantime? First, let's go back to our motto, our credo. And our credo basically is about the continuum of care. So I'm not going to read the first sentence. With all due respect, it's kind of wordy, but the second sentence is very, very, very much. And before I do that, I'm actually going to read you the motto from the Ritz-Carlton hotels. I'm not sure if you guys know about hotel industry, but some of the things that I've been interested because of the quality issue, and because of my involvement with the quality in the hospital, I was also very, very much into the quality of hotels. And there's 2 hotel groups that are absolutely outstanding across the world, which one is the Ritz-Carlton and one is the Four Seasons. And a lot of things I'm going to share with you is basically the motto from the Ritz-Carlton, and we're going to share it to our motto as well. So the blank Ritz-Carlton or Bayview is a place where the genuine care and comfort of our patients is our highest mission. Is that pretty much what we all believe and want to aspire to? So this is the Ritz-Carlton motto. See how close it is. We pledge to provide the finest personal service and facility for our guests, who will always enjoy a warm, relaxed, yet refined ambience. Okay? So who's in charge of ambience? Exactly. So you're walking down the hallway and you see something that's out of place, which I did the other day. What do? We put it back in place. So physical therapy wants to use that closet because that's their closet and they can't put any more stuff in it. Well, guess what? This is not providing a proper ambience for my resident. And what do I want from my resident? I want the ultimate patient experience. Why? Because in a few years, they have the choice to come here or go to Jacksonville or go to Daytona, for all we know, as far as healthcare industry will evolve. So the next question said the Ritz-Carlton experience, or we could basically substitute the Bayview. This is actually copyrighted. Their credo is actually copyrighted. The Baby or Ritz-Carlton experience delivers to the senses, enlivens the senses, instills well-being, and fulfills even the most unexpressed wishes and needs of our guests. In our case, it will be our residents. So this is our inspiration. So are we basically going above? Are we going basically and trying to fulfill the unexpressed wishes of our residents? What are the unexpressed wishes of our residents? Are we basically fulfilling their basic needs? Are we actually fulfilling what they want? That's our primary thing. But once we get there, are we going beyond? Are we predicting? So one of the things that differentiates humans from animals and humans from basically artificial intelligence so far, and the artificial intelligence community is actually working on this, is how do we process thought? What makes humans different, and what makes a robot become all of a sudden real? How do we achieve consciousness? So the ability to be conscious is your ability to predict the future. And what makes us superior to all other animals on Earth is that we have the capacity to basically predict the future. We go and run models. So right now, if I'm leaving, Dr. Carames is talking, 3:15, I'm gonna hit traffic on the way up, well, school's out, so it should be too hard, it's really high, I have to pick up my kid. So you're constantly doing these models about what your future is gonna be like. So as we do those models, we have to do the same thing at work. We have to basically fulfill the models of what are our patient's needs. We're coming in at 7 o'clock. Well, guess what? The patient just had dinner. He's going to go to the bathroom. What's going to happen if I don't check that patient? They're going to be on the floor and basically slip and break their hip or dislocate the hip they just had done by orthopedics last week, which happens all the time. So from a modeling standpoint, we in administration see the same mistakes happening over and over and over and over again. So part of the job of administration is to say, hey, you're making these mistakes. Let's improve that. Let's learn from our mistakes and prevent them, because by preventing mistakes, whether it's medications in the operating room, whether it's equipment in the way you basically clean it after a colonoscopy, etc., that's the way we improve, and that's the way we basically move forward. And that's what not only we are supposed to do, but also what society now is basically asking us to do in healthcare. And society is becoming more and more and more demanding of what we do and how we do it and how efficiently we do it. And that's where the whole customer concept is coming in. And that's the whole idea between the Accountable Care Act. They want to be able to look at me up. Actually, you can look me up right now on the internet, on Angie's List, you name it. And there's all kinds of stuff about what I do and how I do it, and the same thing will be for the baby. So as we become more and more public, as this basically technology revolution becomes more clearer, it's actually designed for the consumer, to empower the consumer to have a better analysis of what kind of situation and what kind of future they're going to have. So when somebody goes into the computer, we want them to see a very good analysis of the baby, which is depending on what you do every hour or every day. So that's how it's all related. It's basically a continuum, which is part of our major belief in our major credo. So whether the continuum is here for care, or it's in the nursing home, or back in the hospital, it's all a continuum. And one of our basic, now I'm going to refer back to our baby credo and just kind of read it to you, which sounds very much like the Ritz-Carlton. By offering a unified, comprehensive continuum of care, we are able to provide healthcare services and complete the circle of care of each client we serve in the most efficient, effective, and affordable manner. Once a client in our continuum, we are diligent to provide the care in the most appropriate environment with the highest level of services necessary in order to maximize his or her quality of life and functionality. That's basically our credo. That's our DNA. So you have to think of what is the DNA, what is the DNA of your group, what is the DNA of your corporation, what do you believe in? And like I said, and groups and organizations who have an utmost philosophy and believe it and practice it are the ones who are most successful, because every time you have a difficult situation, oh, I'm tired, it's 2:50 and this patient just fell, and you know what, I'm just going to walk away and go the other way and leave it to the next shift. That is not what we're talking about. We're talking about being basically witnesses to each other, and as we basically work together, we basically elevate the level of everybody's performance. So as we help each other, that's the way we elevate to become a Ritz-Carlton, to become a Four Seasons kind of place. And that's our goal. A couple other little notes here. And now it gets into a little more philosophical stuff. And now I'm going to quote Ralph Waldo Emerson. Do not go where the path may lead. Go instead where there is no path, and leave a trail. And that's what it's all about. And that's all I want to say. Any questions?